Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to install power mirrors in a Civic hatchback or a CRX. I know this is a completely unnecessary modification, but it is kind of convenient to have. So let's get started. Alright, so for starters, we're going to need a set of Sedan LX power mirrors. And in the US, the EX power mirrors will work as well from the Sedan. We'll need basically the complete set. We'll have to redo the wiring later, but basically the connector with the plug, the mirrors with these connectors as well, and these covers because they don't have the hole like the manual ones do. Now, the wiring is quite straightforward. You just match all the wire colors to this harness here, and then you'll be left with a yellow and black wire, which is power, and then your black wire, which is ground on here, which is these last two wires here. So the last wire is ground, and the one before the last one, that one's power. Now, I'm gonna quickly rig this up and then give it power and just test out these mirrors to make sure they work. I did purchase these used on eBay. They're not in the best shape. The glass here, as you can see, is kind of got some discoloration and everything, but that's okay. We could replace the glass with the same glass from the non-power mirrors. The glass piece fits completely fine. I've done this modification several times already. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly get this all wired up, and then we're gonna test this out and see if it works. All right, just like that, it's all wired up now. All I'm gonna be doing is adding power to here and then a ground to this. So I'm just gonna get out my battery charger and hook this up, and then we're gonna be able to apply power to this. All right, it is hooked up. Let's test this out. Going to the left. That works. Go to the right. Very cool. So the power mirrors are working completely fine. The motors are all good in it. So we can disconnect this, and then I'm going to show you guys how to take these apart, because essentially what we're going to be doing is putting the motors into a Civic hatchback or even a CRX housing, like the manual housing. That way it'll get it to fit. However, there's another method. What people tend to do is they'll drill out the mounting points on the car and then mount just the Sedan mirrors. I don't like doing that. I prefer doing it with the OEM the OEM mirror, because that way it's a perfect fit and you don't really have to modify the door. All right, so the painful part about taking apart a power mirror is that this glass doesn't just pop out like how the manual ones are. The manual ones, you essentially just undo a screw from here, and then this mirror, the glass piece will pop off, and then you're able to take it apart. This, however, has a screw right in the center here. So what you have to do is heat the mirror up and break apart all the adhesive in the back here, and then you have to pry from the wide end down to the narrow end to pop this glass off. A lot of times this does break in the process. At least the many times that I've done it, I've always broken them, which is why I know the manual mirrors, the glass, does actually fit in here, because you know, you could only find so many of the power ones to replace with, and it's hard to take the power ones out anyways to replace it into your own. So it was easier to pull the manual ones and then take the manual mirror glass off of that housing and then pop that in here. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna heat this thing up, and then we're gonna get something flat so that you could dig in there and gently pry it out. Essentially, I'm gonna be using various flat things to try and pry it out. It's been a long time since I've done this, so I don't really remember what I did in the past, but essentially we go around this edge and then slowly pry up. But let's heat it up first. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight.
up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby. And treat myself.
There you go, detached. And as you can see, the back has, I guess, some glue here that sticks it on here. This may be aftermarket because I don't remember it being this kind of glue that sticks on the back here. Could be why this glass is all dulled out already. Like you can see that it's faded out on the corners there, but it is out. And as you can see, here's the screw for it. We'll have to repeat the process for the other side as well to remove both sides, and then we can stick the new one on. The new one can easily be applied with double-sided tape. All right, both the glasses are off. As you can see, this is definitely the OEM one. You can see that it was stuck on with, I guess, some butyl rubber. Yeah, had to be real careful and pry around and get it out, but it's out now. This one here has all this silicone and all that stuff. This is clearly a aftermarket piece. No wonder the glass is already faded out and it hasn't lasted as long because it's not OEM. So what we're gonna do now is just take both of these mirrors apart. We'll start with the right side, this one, just to take all the components out. I'll leave this for later. But the hardest part is getting the piece of glass out. And then the rest is pretty easy to disassemble. Alright, there we go. Housing is disassembled. Now we just have to pull the motor out. Yeah, so we're just pushing these tabs in. Alright, so it's mostly disassembled. Just need to pull this motor out. I'm going to take a picture of how this harness is, and I'm just going to depin it so that I can loop all the stuff out and then pin it back afterwards. Alright, now let's take apart my painted mirror, and then we'll swap all these components to the power mirror stuff. It takes quite a bit of effort to feel where that screw is to get the glass out.
Don't leave me here high and dry.
Popped off. Now all we have to do is remove part of this. We don't actually have to fully disassemble it. I'm just going to pop the pin off of these and then pop the power mirror pin on there, and we should be good to just swap this back together. And we pop it all the way through. There you go. Pins out. And then you were able to just take this arm out and then slowly pop everything else out. There you go. And then now we just have to get this ball out. Like so. There you go. This piece is out, and then we just have to swap it with the power mirror piece. All right, with that all set up, we just gotta loop the wire back in and put the plug and all that stuff back together. So.
But I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak my mind. Oh.
All right, there you go. Everything is fully assembled. Now I did end up taking this boot out, and I am resealing it so that when I put the mirror back in there, it wouldn't, get water trapped in there or anything. So we're waiting for that to dry because I put a whole bunch of silicone on there to repair it. But aside from that, this is all fully assembled already. All right, so to put the glass back in, you're gonna have to heat this again, and it will go the narrow side into the wider side. So like this, to drop the glass back in. There you go, glass is put back. That's a struggle, but it's back. I'm just gonna give it a quick wipe. Now we can replace this foam gasket. We'll just rip off the old one. Give it a little heat first. There you go. Foam gasket is applied, and then when we bolt this down, it'll just compress the foam gasket and it'll provide a nice tight seal. All right, guys. So the factory location for the power mirror switch is supposed to be here, but I have my push start button here. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it over to this coin pocket tray here area. So this was originally in there. I popped it out, and then I 3D designed a new plate here for myself, and this will just pop right in. So I'm just going to move the switch into this area for the push start so that I could use the factory location for the power mirror switch. All right, there it is, and it just pops right in like that. All right, guys, so it was a pain to do this because running the wires is the hardest part. I had to run it through the existing loom and adapt it to my existing wire harness here for my power windows. So everything is hooked up now. As you can see, this is all plug and play. Not really plug and play because I had to actually solder everything together. But now this is in. The cover is put on. The mirror is installed. And basically the hardest part was just running the wire through. The wiring is in the car now, so all I have to do is wire it to the switch. And then this side will have power mirror. Now I'm just gonna put all this back together, and then we're good for one side. Unfortunately, I had to destroy my moisture barrier in order to get this in because the butyl rubber just stuck onto this thing and stretched it up and it just broke. So I'm just gonna rip it off. It doesn't really matter because we always put another moisture barrier on another day. So for now, this is just going to come off, and I'm just going to put everything back together with the door panel with no moisture barrier. All right, guys, one thing to mention is that the sedan covers here don't fit perfectly. As you can see, there's a little gap here, and you need to trim it a little bit so that it clears the door panel. That's the only thing, and it's not really that noticeable and still looks pretty factory. So I'm going to do that to the passenger side as well. All right, guys, so this is the sedan piece and this is the hatch piece. As you can see, they are very different. This has this area here that covers up the door panel gap. As you can see, when you put them on top of each other, there is that gap on the bottom right here. So that is what we need to trim off to get it to clear the door panel. All right, guys, everything's wired up and I put the power mirror switch in. Now, as you can see on the right side here, we could just control the power mirrors. So everything works. Same with the left side. So we've got power mirrors. All right, guys, the hatch has power mirrors now and it's fully working, except for the passenger side. I mean, it works, it's just not working perfectly. The reason being is during the reinstallation, we did snap that nylon screw that pivots the mirror right and left. Now, I 3D printed the part, but 3D prints don't have perfect threads on them, so sometimes it gets stuck and doesn't move, or sometimes it doesn't thread all the way out. It is what it is. I may just buy some nylon screws in the future and hand modify it, because the screw essentially is a screw with a ball on it and a little bit of a tab on there so that it doesn't, spin completely. It just stops in the mirror so that it can pivot right and left. But we'll see. It still works. It just doesn't go as far right or far left, and sometimes it gets stuck. Aside from that, everything is working on here. Now, the installation was pretty straightforward. We didn't go through any of the wiring. The reason being is we already tested it, and everything works. And the wires is just matching up the colors, and that's exactly what I did. The toughest part of it was running the wire loom from the doors and into the car. Now that was the difficult part because you have to get them through the grommets. The grommets are pretty tight space. Didn't want to take off my fenders and doors just to do that. So I had to, fish the wires in through the grommet with some mechanics wire essentially. Took a lot of time to do that, but it's finally fully done and it's all wired up. Now, for you guys, a tip is you want to wire your power to the number 18 fuse. So you just get a fuse tap and just tap it in there. Essentially what that is it's your rear defroster fuse, and the Honda service manual uses that fuse for the power mirrors, which is why I repurposed that location for the power mirrors that I've installed. Aside from that, you could ground it anywhere you want, and then you should be all wired up. The toughest part is just to get it all nice and neat, I guess. Anyways, that's the installation. I hope this video helps you guys out. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe, and share my videos. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.